I drink to remember, I smoke to forget. Some things to be proud of, some things to regret. Run down some dark alleys in my own head. But something is changing, changing, changing. Go back to Clifton to see my old friends, the best people I could ever have met. Skin up a fat one, hide from the fence. But something is changing, changing, changing. So I kiss goodbye to every little ounce of pain. Light a cigarette and wish your world away. I got out, I'm alive, but I'm here to stay. So I hold two fingers up to yesterday. Light a cigarette and smoke it all away. I got out, I'm alive, but I'm here to stay. There's a story for every corner of this place. Running so hard to get out, but your knees got grace. I'm an old dog, but I learned some new tricks, yeah. Okay, so this is a lesson for Two Fingers by Bugg. Quick little thing about the guitar setup. We've got a capo on the first fret. If you want to play along with the actual Bugg version of the song, you need to have your capo on your first fret. You saw in the demonstration at the start, I didn't have a capo on. That's because my voice isn't quite as high as Bugg's. In fact, it's not even high enough without the capo on. I'm struggling a bit, but we won't mention that again. So in this lesson, I'm not going to be using the capo. As usual with a capo in some tab, if you've got the capo on the first fret, all right, everything on the tab is going to imagine that you've not got a capo on and you're ignoring it. So for example, the E major chord at the start, on the tab, it says that you're playing your second and first frets. But with a capo on, that looks like you're playing your third and second frets on the guitar. If that's confusing, it's okay, don't worry. What I like to do is, I look at the tab, and any numbers that are on the tab, I add 1 onto, because you've got your capo on fret number 1. So for E major, instead of it being 2, 2, 1, it's actually 3, 3, 2. That's what it looks like on your guitar. If that's confusing to you still, don't worry, but later on in the bridge, when we play a chord that's up here at the top, well, in the middle of the guitar, that's going to be quite useful to you, probably, hopefully. Anyway, so we'll start off by breaking down the different parts of the song. So, introduction to begin with. Right, so the introduction, the little scratchy part is playing at the start. That's some string muting. What you've got to do is you get your fretting hand, lay it across the strings, so that when you pick them, they're not able to vibrate and ring. Now, if you're still getting some noise, some notes that are ringing out like that, even when you've got your fingers pressed, it's because you're pressing your fingers down too hard and the strings are still able to vibrate. You should just be literally touching the strings, not actually pushing them towards the fretboard at all. It gets like a drummy sort of sound. So the introduction, he's just doing 6 down strums. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 2 pairs of down up strums. So the introduction goes like this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I drink to remember. Drink to remember. And the easy way to get it in time is he matches up what he plays with what he sings. So he says, drink to remember, drink to remember. So each strum, when you're going down and up, matches up with one of the words he's singing on there. Right, now, throughout the verses, you're playing all of the chords, apart from one, that are in the song. You've got an E major chord. You've got a major chord. And you've also got a chord that you can call B11. You could call it a couple of different things. That is an E major chord, but you move your first finger up a string, your third finger down a string, and you need to make sure that you don't hit your E string, your thick E string. A good way to do that is to take your second finger and touch it lightly against the underside of the E string like that. See, my second finger is not just on the A string, it's actually sort of in the middle of the E and A strings. So if you pick your E string, it should be dead, whereas your other 5 strings should all ring like that. Throughout the verse, we're performing what's called a palm mute. That's normally shown as PM on the tab. To do that, you need to get your strumming hand and rest it against the strings. Now, if you just rest it anywhere, you might end up getting this, which obviously doesn't sound right. What's happening there is the strings can't vibrate at all, and you've got your hand resting too far towards, too close to your other hand, basically. You need to move it as far away from your fretting hand as possible without actually not getting any palm mute at all. If you listen to what I mean, this is bad, still bad, good, then no palm mute at all because my hands actually come off the strings now completely. So practice like that. Just touch your hand up, don't press down because it'll just get worse. Just rest your hand on the strings exactly like you did at the start. Strum with a chord on and move closer to the bridge until you get that thud. If you're unsure if it sounds right, you should be able to strum the strings and feel them vibrate under your hand for like a second. You'll stop now. That's right. Okay, so all we're doing is a really simple down strumming pattern on each of your chords. You're playing basically 2 bars on E. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 2 bars on A. 2, 2, 3, 4. 2 bars on B11 with a change to A at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. So you can see on that last strum, if you count the strums, it would be strum number 16. We change it to an A chord, and we're not palm muting on that chord. We're going to do an accented strum. So we're going to strum quite loud on that A chord. Listen, so 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, like that. Okay, the easy way to get that, listen closer to the song, and he says changing at that bit. Changing, changing. And then the strum after that is on the ing of changing. So it's changing. And you're doing a pattern of 3 strums then. After that initial strum, you're doing 3 strums over and over again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Alright, I'll do it from the first A strum, okay? And I'll do the singing just whilst I pick my pickup. Okay, so something is changing, changing, changing. Go back to Cliff, and then you're back into verse 2 then. You can play that whole pattern for all of the verses in the song. The only difference is before you go into the chorus, try and get louder in that build-up A chord part. So, for your chorus, you're playing E, B11, A, and then back to E again. 4 chords. Your strumming pattern is doing some down and up strumming, and you're also doing a tie. A tie is where you do a strum, and you let it ring a little bit longer. Now, how that affects your strumming, it means that your right hand needs to keep moving for the strumming pattern. If it stops moving at all, something's going wrong. So this is how your strumming goes. It goes... So that's down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. So I played it twice there. You'll notice that my right hand keeps moving after we do the 2 ups in a row. Down, down, up, down, up. Now that's a really important part of alternate strumming, strumming down and up. If you're not doing this yet, it does take a bit of time to get used to it, so don't worry if you're finding it a bit hard. This is probably what's going to happen at first. So you see I stopped moving my hand then, and it upsets the down and up pattern, so you end up starting again on an up strum or something like that, so it doesn't quite feel natural. A good way to practice this is play along to a metronome. I've got one here, which is like an old-fashioned sort of tick-tock one. Good speed to start off with would be at maybe about 70 or 80. Let's see what 72 sounds like. It's a little bit slow. You speed it up a little bit. You can hear the metronome going there. So I kissed goodbye to every little ounce of pain. So it's not quite full speed, but it's not far off either. And right, count yourself in 4 beats, like you see a drummer do on stage at the start of a song. So 1, 2, up to 4. But don't just strum. Actually do some like strums in mid-air, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then just try the first 3 strums of the strumming pattern. That's the down, down, up. So try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you might feel a bit stupid doing this, but the idea is it gives your strumming hand like a head start. It gets your hand moving into the rhythm before you actually start to play the song. So now I'll do that one more time, but I'll do the full strumming pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a really, really effective way to practice this strumming. Shut up, metronome. Anyway, so you play that strumming pattern twice for each chord. I'll just play it all the way through on its own. Might as well do it with the metronome. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Repeats. B11. A. E. It's from that point that you repeat that section of 8 bars, 4 chords again, because it always goes twice for each chorus. Now, the other bit of the song is the bridge. Now, like a lot of songs, which I'm sure you're used to learning right now, sometimes in a song, especially if you're a beginner, you have to change one of the chords a little bit because it'll be a lot harder than all the others. This song is no exception. We get a minor chord now, and it's called C sharp minor. Now, the easiest way to play this is if you take an A minor chord. If you don't know what that is, you're going to have to go and look at your chord sheet to work that one out. Get A minor, and you need to move it up so that your second and third finger is on the, it's going to be, it looks like you're playing it on the 7th fret. So it looks like you're playing 7, 7, 6. Now with your capo on, don't forget, that is going to be at the 7 and 7, 6 frets. If you're playing it without a capo, you need to play it down a fret. So follow the tab and ignore the capo business. So with your capo on, I'll put my capo back on for this bit now because it's what you're going to be doing to play with the song. We're at the 7th fret there. Now the trick with this chord is don't play your A string like you normally would with A minor. Don't play your E string either. So it's only the thinnest 4 strings, D, G, B, E, that we're playing. Like we did with B11, get your second finger to almost be in between the A and D strings. That means that when you strum the chord, if you do accidentally hit the A string, which will happen, I probably did it a few times playing it at the start, it's not going to do this and clash. That actually sounds really nice, but not for this song. So that's going to be your C sharp minor chord. Again, remember, if you're not using a capo to play this song, if you haven't got a really, really high voice like me and Jake Bugg, you're going to be playing it just like it looks on the tab. So ignore where I'm playing it now. So for the bridge then, this is when we start off with this new chord. It's the same strumming pattern. And then you're going back down to an E major chord. Now the good thing about this chord shape is your fingers are actually in the same position as they are for an E major chord. So you need to move back down to the lower frets and then go up onto your thickest, your second thickest set of 3 strings for an E major chord. So you do strumming twice for each chord. Here's how that sounds. Metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then play that again. Now, this is a hard chord change. Anytime you've got to go left and right on the guitar and move strings, it's challenging. What you need to make sure you do is practice that chord, and then your E chord. Do one strum each. You need to do that enough times so that your fingers don't do this and come off completely. If that happens, it's just a nightmare trying to get them back on, unless you've done a lot of E chords in the songs you've played and you can put it on really, really quickly like that. Keep your fingers close to the strings and make sure that you're looking where at the chord you're going to move to, not the one you're playing. So look at E, move down there. Also, this is probably the most important thing to be aware of when you're practicing strumming and changing chords. Don't stop strumming when you do that chord change. If you hesitate, it doesn't matter how well you put the chord on, you're going to stop, like this. That's no good. You've got to keep strumming. It's much better if this happens. You know, okay, it sounded horrible for that split second, but eventually, do that enough times, your chord will get there. So don't stop strumming, it's extremely important. So the last part of the bridge, all we're doing is we're playing an A chord. We're doing what's called a rake. A rake is where you drag your pick either down or up the strings. That's a rake on your A. Make sure that you don't hit your E string. It's just from your A string down. B11. And then we put E back on. And we're going to do another 2 bars down strumming. It's actually really similar to what you do in the verse. But there's a crescendo. A crescendo is like the long funnel-shaped symbol on the tab. That means get louder. So you need to strum quietly and not as much. So strum and don't move your wrist as much. And that will only get the bottom 2 or 3 strings. As the strums go on, strum harder and move your wrist more. And towards the end of that second bar, you should be hitting all of the strings. And get louder as well towards the end. Okay, so if you've got the lyrics for this song, just follow the structure. Look at when the verses and choruses repeat. But there's really just these 3 different sections in the song. So have a go at piecing them together and you should be able to play the whole track.